In today's video, I'm playing some Esper Bounce in Standard Best of 1, and the reason I'm playing this list is because a viewer of the channel posted it to the Discord. That's right, I do have a Discord. If you want to join up and chit-chat about some Magic, that information is in the description. But they posted this list, they said that they were learning this deck and they'd like to see me play a few games with it. I suppose they're looking for an example of what not to do when you're piloting a list. For me, I'm interested in trying this deck out because it is running Loki, God of Mischief, and this is a card that I've been very interested in trying out since it released in Marvel Superheroes. Now, the list that I have in front of me today is actually a best of 3 list. I had gone into this with the intention of playing some test games. I've played 10 games with the deck so far, gone 7-3. Things have been running pretty smoothly, however, on the play quite a bit and benefiting from that, so keep that in mind. But everything going relatively well so far. I had the intention of maybe changing some things up in the list, but I think it is a pretty solid build of what they want to do with this list right now. So we're going to keep running it and see how it plays over a course of another 10 games. Now, I suppose we're going to talk a little bit about the deck, and we got to start off with Loki, God of Mischief. This thing is a 2/1 for 2. It says whenever a player or a permanent becomes a target of an ability you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once a turn. So we are running things that are going to do that and draw some cards. We have some removal, Grim Bauble, and Nowhere to Run. Both of these enter the field, target the opponent's creatures, and draw a card if we have a Loki on the field. We also have the Spyglass Siren, which will create a map token. The map token, we can crack it, target something of ours, it'll explore, and that'll draw us a card with Loki as well. Then if we want to target the opponent, we do have 3 copies of Tiny Bones Joins Up. This thing is an awesome 1-drop in the deck. If we can get this online with some of the bouncing creatures that I'll talk about in a second, this can really ruin the opponent's deck. Now we are playing also 2 copies of Momentum Breaker. This thing I believe does not target anything. It obviously doesn't. It says each opponent. So this is not going to trigger Loki, but it is a good way to get rid of some nasty things that maybe we can't interact with very easily, or if things have 4 or 5 toughness and so forth. Now, we are also playing Nurturing Pixie and Sunpearl Heron. Both of these enter the battlefield and bounce something. So they are going to target, for example, the Nowhere to Run, bounce it back to our hand, and that's going to trigger Loki. What else is going on with the deck? Well, we are playing, of course, Boomerang Basic and Storm Chaser's Talent. Unfortunately, the Boomerang Basic will not trigger Loki because this is a sorcery, and this is only when a permanent becomes a target of an ability you control, not a spell that you control. So Boomerang Basic does not work in that way. However, if we have a Storm Chaser's Talent on the field and we bounce it back with a Nurturing Pixie, we will get to draw a card with Loki. And then we just have a little bit more power to complement our otters. We are running 2 copies of Aang Swift Savior. This thing is always good to just flash in on the opponent's turn. We can use this to bounce a creature, which is targeting something, or we can just save ourselves maybe a Day of Judgment or Deadly Cover Up. You know, who knows what Aang is going to be stopping. And then finally, 2 copies of Kaido. This thing is just pretty solid. In the test games, the games where I was able to get a Kaido out on turn 3, wouldn't you believe it? They went a whole lot smoother than the games when I didn't have Kaido. So Kaido is just kind of a beast. Last card in the deck is Tragic Trajectory. I'm sure this card is in the deck to remove those really big things that we just can't quite get rid of. We are going to be triggering the Void ability by bouncing things back to our hand with the Nurturing Pixie, and then having the ability to give something -10/-10 is pretty dang good. So that is the list. We're going to hop into some games and see how this one plays out. I'm excited to try this one because it has a lot of moving parts and a lot of interaction, so it should be a pretty fun one to watch. See you over in the games. All right, so game number 1. See if Esper Bounce can get it done. And we do have a Loki right off the bat, and we have good mana. We have all of our color sources, and we have a little bit of removal. So if the opponent is on a creature-based strategy, we're going to be having a pretty good time. If the opponent is not on a creature-based strategy, which is something I should have probably talked about in the intro, the one concern I have about this deck is if we run into the dreaded Jeskai Revelation matchup, because Jeskai control is not going to have a whole lot of targets for us to be hitting with some of our cards. Now, this opponent seems to be on life gain, so we are probably going to be able to hit something next turn with the Nowhere to Run or the Momentum Breaker, probably the Nowhere to Run. We might need to save this to get rid of a big growing creature, we'll see. But this Amalia, awfully good ward ability. However, Nowhere to Run still exists, and the Nowhere to Run is saying, we don't care about that. So we have a couple of things that we can actually do here. How greedy do I want to be? I think I want to be maximum greedy. So let's crack the map. We're going to put the map onto the Spyglass Siren, draw a card with the Loki. We miss. It's another Tiny Bones Jones up. We don't want 2 of them. We just want the 1. Then I'm going to shock in the Hollowed Fountain and swing in on the opponent for 2 damage. This is greedy because the opponent could have a way to save the Amalia, but I don't think that this deck is going to have something that can give the Amalia. I guess they could have protection +1/+1 on the Amalia. That would be pretty devastating. Putting it up to a 4/4. Interesting. Okay. You know what? I'm not too concerned about this because we are still going to be able to target something. We're going to be able to take out the Tigra. And then next turn, we have the Momentum Breaker that can get rid of the Amalia. So, yeah, maybe we're going to be okay. We also need to kind of find a land here off of Loki. I really want to get up to 4 mana. Nope, best I can do. That was 3 Tiny Bones Joins ups. That's a mouthful. In order on the top of our library. Okay, so the opponent does have the starting town. Do they have the 1 CMC spell to get Amalia back up to a 5/5? That's bad news. That's bad. So we need to hit a land here. If we don't hit a land, we are kind of cooked. Okay, Amalia comes in for 5. Land. It's a land. Okay, so we're fine. So we're going to use the Nowhere to Run. We're going to smoke Aunt May. We do draw a card. It's a Concealed Courtyard, which is not the land that we really wanted to see, but it's fine. It'll just come in tapped later on. And the Momentum Breaker gets rid of our Amalia, and we're going to be able to swing in for 4 damage here against the life-linking opponent. But we are down to 9 already. Maybe we're going to have to start going after their hand with the Tiny Bones Joins up, plus the Nurturing Pixie for the following turn. But yeah, this is kind of what the deck has been doing for me. It's really good at controlling the creatures that the opponent is putting onto the field. And then you just get kind of like crazy amounts of value if the Loki just sits on the field. Now the opponent putting out the Lunar Convocation, pretty good card, but they had to pay a little bit of life with this and the Hinterland Sanctifier, which keeps Loki in check. I don't necessarily like that. And a land. So they're down to 1 card. They make a bat. The bat is not that much of a concern because we do get to fly in. Okay, let's start off with the Tiny Bones Joins up. We get to remove that last card that they have in their hand. We get to draw a card. More importantly, it's a Loki. And then we're going to use the Nurturing Pixie to get back the Nowhere to Run, I suppose. And we use the Nowhere to Run to trade or to remove what? You know what? I kind of want to wait again. I really want to draw cards. So I think I'm going to be greedy and I'm going to hit the Hinterland Sanctifier on their upkeep. Do they trade the bat off? We are down to 8, so I think having that bat might not be the worst thing for the opponent. Concealed Courtyard to the field and opponent's turn. So flash in the Nowhere to Run before they have anything that they can do. We hit the Hinterland Sanctifier. I guess they could draw a card here, pay 2 life. But we get to draw with the Loki. That's exactly what we want to see. We want to see more bouncing creatures. Or, you know what? Hey, another Nowhere to Run. Not so bad in my book. So what did you find, opponent? Something nasty? They're drawing cards with the Convocation. Brutal. Okay, Amalia. It goes up to a 3/3. The thing is, we have another Nowhere to Run. They found a land. If they have another 1-drop that could... Oh, it doesn't go up to a 3/3. Why did I think it goes up to a 3/3? It does go up to a 3/3. I thought... It explores when you gain life. I'm just misunderstanding what this card does. It's fine. So the opponent is kind of in a spot here. I think we need to start really taking them out here. Tragic Trajectory is actually pretty good. We'll use this on the bat. -9, and we get in for 6 points of damage. And then the Boomerang Basics. If I bring the Boomerang Basics back to my hand, or sorry, bring the Nowhere to Run back to my hand with the Boomerang Basics, we draw a card. We actually can save a little bit of life. I was going to say, let's put out the Hollowed Fountain untapped for 2 life, go down to 5. But if we can just hold up the Nowhere to Run, that's going to be good news. And we still have this. This says whenever a legendary creature you control enters you any number of target players, each mill a card and lose 1 life. So technically this Loki is representing 1 more point of damage with the Tiny Bones joins up on the field. They desperately drawn 2 cards with the Lunar Convocation, and they take their own way out. That is a pretty good opening from this deck. That's exactly the grindy matchup that I think that this deck is looking to pull off. Yeah, I had fun. Next one. All right, let's hope that all of our games go about as smoothly as that last game went, because that was pretty much exactly what we want to see happening. Now, this hand, we have our boy Kaido. We also have a little bit of removal, so we end up running into an opponent that is on a creature-based strategy. Will be in pretty good shape. It is Firefly putting us to the test here because, well, otters, always troublesome. I think we have to use this to smoke the otter because I don't really want to be taking chip damage. And the nowhere to run might need to be saved for a slick shot show off. But if we can get Kaido on the field, maybe flash in the Aang, that could be some pretty good disruption. We don't really want to see more lands for the next couple of turns, I think. Just bouncing the Storm Chaser's talent. Aang deals with these creatures pretty dang well, so maybe that'll be the case. Let's go with the Verge. It's making blue mana, and we have black and white over here, so we have the option to flash in the Nowhere to Run or the Sun Pearl Kirin. Maybe this turn will end up just taking a little bit of damage from this Otter, flash in the Sun Pearl Kirin at the end step, and bounce back this Grim Bauble to our hand. Seems to be maybe the way we're going. Well, I guess I could Nowhere to Run and hit the Otter, but I think probably sticking to the plan, just taking the 3 damage is probably going to be best. Sun Pearl Kirin to the field, bounce back the Grim Bauble. This kills the Otter on the next turn, and we can still hold up the... No, we're not. Are we going to hold up the Nowhere to Run? How scared am I of the big man, the Slick Shot show off? Because we have to take 2 damage to do this. But I think that's okay. I could also Kaido... No, I think it's probably better to go this way. I had so many options here. We could Swift Savior. We could Kaido off of the Sun Pearl Kirin, bounce it back to our hand. But I think this puts me in a pretty good spot because maybe we can hit something with this Nowhere to Run. Sleight of hand, opponents digging into their library. And then next turn, we hold up the Aang, maybe? Ooh. We have an opening here. What do you got? Nothing? A whole lot of nothing. Tiny Bones joins up is pretty cool. So what I can do is I can put in the Hollow Fountain untapped, hit them with the Tiny Bones, and then hold up the... I could just put in Kaido right now. Is that better? What's better is... Just so scared of a Slickshot show-off killing me out of nowhere. I hate that I live in this Slickshot show-off world. It's so dang threatening. Okay, opponent. Discard a card. Land. They're sitting on land. So, is it Aang or is it just hold up the Nowhere to Run? You know what? Not mono red. Is it opponent? I think I got to conserve my life total a little bit. Probably just holding up the Nowhere to Run is going to be good enough. It seems like they are desperately digging for probably a Slick Shot. Everybody that plays this list just wants to find Slick Shot, right? Roaring Furnace. So in this case, they deal 5 damage to something. Is this to anything? To target creature only. So they would have hit my poor Swift Savior if that were the case. All right, that's a pretty good land. We're going to pass it to the opponent. We're going to basically counter anything that they do with the Swift Savior here. I did say anything, but not that. I guess we're allowing the Storm Chaser's talent to exist. Another land. Do they unlock the Sauna? They unlock the Sauna. Whoa. Okay. So that is bad news because they are going to be able to draw cards, right? I got to look at what the Sauna does. We hit the Slick Shot show off. You have no maximum hand size at the beginning of your end step. Draw a card. Okay. So here comes end step. They draw a card, and they have a lot of mana available to them. I think I might just Do I want to bounce the Kaido, the Aang Swift Savior back to my hand? Yes. That's what we want to do, because I want to be able to hold up the Nowhere to Run, and that's what this allows me to do. Okay, mill another card, another Slick Shot Show. Oh, dang. Got rid of the land. And then from here, I think we probably want to start drawing some cards. So Loki, God of Mischief is going to be pretty good, but I think we probably want to hit our land drop for the turn and then save Loki for the following turn. So we now have Aang, we have Nowhere to Run, we have a Kaido on the field. They're still digging for something that they can kill us with, but we got a pretty good clock on them now with this Kaido. Another sleight of hand. They're just digging. Their deck has betrayed them so badly. Okay, there's Slicky. How much damage do you got? This could hurt. This could kill us right off the bat. They give it a 3. Okay, well, I have no choice here because they make it a 3/4. So if this resolves, Spell Pierce, we don't have the mana to pay for it. They get pumped up even more. They're down to... Okay, if they have a fling, we die. They go after Kaido. Interesting. So they didn't have the fling to end the game. They leave us at 15. Let's take the risk of putting Loki onto the field. Mill another card. Take a little bit of damage. Oh, I guess that triggers Loki there. Do we want to do the safe thing? Let's do the safe thing. The safe thing is just making the opponent sacrifice the Slick Shot Show Off. And now we still have the Nowhere to Run that we can throw out on our opponent's turn, and it'll draw us a card with the Loki. Color Storm Stallion. That's pretty good. We take 3. I hate it, but I'm taking 3. Okay. It's fine. I could have put the Nowhere to Run out, but they could have a card that pumps it up to a 4/4. And I just don't want to take that risk. Okay. At the beginning, okay, I'm going to fire it off now. Because they brought back the flow state, they don't have a way of... they might not have a 1 CMC card. Oh, this is close. This is real close. We got 4, 5, 6, 7 mana available to us. They blast with the... Okay. So is there any reason to do these cards right now? And I think the answer is maybe no. So we just pass it back to the opponent. We found ourselves in one heck of a grindy matchup against an Izzet opponent, and they plot a Slick Shot Show Off. Interesting choice from the opponent. So we still have Aangs, we still have the Sun Procurans, we have a whole bunch of stuff that we can do to fight against whatever the opponent's doing. Do they have a way of giving it haste? Boomerang Basic. That's good. That's real good. They are down to 10 though. They do have 2 otters on the field. The thing is, like, I can deal with all of these creatures that they're putting onto the field, right? Okay. Let's go to end step. Go to end. Beginning of end step, they draw a card. I think it's fine to react right now. We'll throw out Old Aang. We still have 4 mana available to us. We'll just bounce this creature right here, mill them a little bit. Actually, you know what? The damage from the Tiny Bones joins up. Kind of starts to add up over time, right? Now, do I want to also put out the Sun? I think I definitely want to put out a Sun Procuran, and we're definitely going to be grabbing the Nowhere to Run. Do I just want to have creatures on the field that can attack in next turn is the question. And I think the answer might be maybe. You know what? Yeah, let's get this Grim Bauble back into hand as well. Grim Bauble or Momentum Breaker? You know what? Let's go the safe way. It's going to cost me a little bit of extra mana, but I have so much mana available to me that I think I'm actually kind of okay with it. Aang Swift Savior is pretty good here. We're still going to use the Momentum Breaker because it's sorcery speed. So we have 7 damage on them. Eddimer Crab. No. No, right? it's such a waste because we do lose it and we're gonna get hit by the Eddimer Crab on the following turn. But I think I'm at 12. I can't allow them to untap with the Eddimer Crab, so I think I just bounce it into exile. They take 1 damage here. Boomerang Basics was a good card to get in their graveyard. Oh, they can still cast it out for free. I'm bad. I'm bad. Oops. I forgot that it was still going to get the discount. All right, I got to go in. Got to go in. So, Nowhere to Run is my last hope, and we are down to only 2 mana. So if they have a Spell Pierce, there's a good chance that we might just die here. Oop. Oh, did I clicked a little bit too carelessly. Let's fire it off. If they find another Slickshot Show Off, if they have a pump spell for the Slickshot Show Off, we're just dead. So this one just ended up being a pretty good grindy match overall. Secret Identity. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Nowhere to Run. They picked the wrong one. Actually, if they picked the 3/4 side, they would have been fine. Oh no. The Roaring Furnace coming down to toast Aang. Okay. So hang on. We gotta do upkeep stop, because I think I need to crack this Grim Bauble to find something good. They have, I assume, Eddimer Crab, number 2. So what can I even find here? Eddimer Crab just absolutely hoses me. Yeah. Go for it. Is there anything? I don't think there's any hope. Eddimer Crab's a good card, isn't it? Verge Island. We didn't want to draw either of those cards. Oh my goodness. Okay, draw. Well, that's devastating. The top 3 cards of the library were land. GG to the opponent. Ended up being a really grindy one, but considering we're going up against arguably the best deck in Standard, that's pretty good. Firefly, just attack in. You got 10 damage here. Why are you doing Flow State? Come on now. Come on now. Attack. Oh, no. Come on. You don't want to rub it in. Come on. Goodness gracious. They do want to rub it in, don't they? All right. I'm going to give you the disappointed dragon face. I was allowing you to get the kill. I'm not going to sit here watching you spin your wheels with Boomerang Basic and that. Overall, good game, bad ending. It's the way it goes. Well, if the games keep being as grindy as that last one was, I'm not really sure I'll get 10 games in. Lately, I've been aiming for 10 and doing pretty well with that, but it's going to be a little bit tricky to get the full 10 in when we're having to do duels like that last one. Opening hand looks kind of great. We can go next turn, Tiny Bones joins up just to hit the opponent's hand a little bit, and then Boomerang Basic something back to our hand. Okay. Does the Frenzied Bailiff make me want to hit them with the Nowhere to Run, though? How scary is the Frenzied Bailiff? I don't think it's that scary, is it? So, yeah, let's just hit them with Tiny Bones joins up. We'll deal with this when the time comes, I suppose. What are they discarding? Okay, Shaz. My boy. And we're going to bounce with that, draw a land. We definitely didn't want to see that. But you know what? If we get up to 4 or 5 mana, that'll put us in a pretty good spot. Hopefully nothing too scary coming from the opponent. Okay, pretty scary. Pretty dang scary. We get another Tiny Bones joins up. So I think probably we go with the Storm Chaser's Talent. We attack in for 2. And then we have the Nowhere to Run to smoke one of these Frenzied Bailiffs, and maybe the Otter can trade with the other one. Yeah, sure. That's what we're doing. Are we doing... Yeah, I think we have to do that, right? So we're going to take 4 damage. We don't like that. But you know what? We have the Sunpour Kirin that can bounce the Nowhere to Run on the following turn. And jump in front of the Ferrex. And when it does that, then we can trade it off, maybe? I did not expect to go up against mono green aggro playing this deck. But it should be a pretty good matchup for us. Unfortunately, they were just like a little bit too aggro right off the top. What is Rocksteady and Bebop doing here? Okay, well, we're doing everything that we can possibly do to not die. Unfortunately, the Sun Pearl Kirin still trades with the Ferox. I mean, it has Death Touch, so it's going to happen anyways. And you know what? We got to do the exact same thing this turn. Do I just attack in? I just attack. This is so bait. Oh, no block. Okay. We're having fun here. We're having fun. Having a little bit of fun tonight. So Bebop and Rocksteady. This could backfire on me so badly. These creatures are too big. What we need to find is okay, resolve that. Discard that. This opponent's deck is really cool. We need to find Momentum Breaker. Without Momentum Breaker, we might actually be just completely done. Thankfully, the Sun Pearl Kirins have been helping me out quite a bit here, but we've just drawn kind of the wrong cards. You know what? Nurturing Pixie. It's fine, because this now represents something that we can trade here. Let's get rid of that last card that's in the opponent's hand so that they're top decking. Doesn't matter what we keep. Okay, whoa, I'm glad I got rid of that card. Okay, and we hold up the Nowhere to Run against the Slumbering Trudge. That's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Do they find a pump spell for the Slumbering Trudge is the question. All right, well, Nowhere to Run, pump up the Otter. We get it down to a 3/3, and we put our 2/2/2s in front of the Slumbering Trudge and hope that they didn't find a pump spell. If they found a pump spell, we are just devastated. Oh, allowing us to keep the Otter, and they just use the Basing Say to turn something on, and we find pretty good card. Pretty good card. You want to see a Kaido when you are in top deck mode. That is a card. So let's tap down the Forest and just keep Kaido and hope that they don't find a hasty creature. If they find another Frenzied Bailiff, we could be in a little bit of trouble here, but Llanowar Elf, not the scariest. Slumbering Trudge, kind of scary. Kind of scary. What do we have in our graveyard? We have Boomerang Basics. So Boomerang Basics back to our hand. We get in for some pretty good damage. I think that's the plan. Okay. And now they have to kind of chump block with this Llanowar Elf. Both of their creatures are going to be tapped. We have another blocker back. If they allow this Kaido in, that's going to be huge because it allows us to surveil. Grimbauble is Grimbauble good enough? Grimbauble gets rid of the blocker. Do I just fire it off now? And then upkeep surveil? I think so. This also pinches their mana a little bit more, so they're down to 3 mana. They can't do Ferox with 3 mana. Yeah, I think that was probably the right call. And I'm very willing to crack the Grimbauble with the surveil on upkeep. Epic fight. You know what, opponent? I appreciate it. GG to you. That was one heck of a fun game. We can just draw and go to first main. Pump up Kaido with an emblem just for good measure. And you know what? This was a Kaido match. Kaido gets in for the win. Absolutely loved it. That was... When you play a bunch of interaction, is this the joy that you find? Not just Slickshot show-offing people? You actually like see opponents play out a bunch of cards from the... Man, this is such a... I love the opponent's deck. Vivian Reed? Slumbering Trudge? Trudge, right? Yeah. And the Skull Spore Nexus. Wow. This opponent was digging deep with some awesome cards. So far, 3 really good matches. Despite losing that second one, I think it was still a really fun one. Oh boy, do you trust Loki to go to the distance? If Loki lands and is able to just like hang out on the field, we get so much value out of this opening hand. And we are again, okay, well, we're gonna have to take a little time, because once an optimistic scavenger hits the field, you kind of got to get rid of it, which is a little bit unfortunate that we had to use our one CMC spell there, because it would have been nice next turn to do Loki plus the Grim Bauble, but no. Okay, well, if the opponent is gonna say, hey, I got a whole bunch of creatures that I need to load up, I'm gonna just hit them all, and next turn with the nowhere to run, this just hoses the opponent if they're sitting on a Sky Shard. Not Sky Shard, what is it called? Why am I forgetting the name of it? It's such an obnoxious card. So do we do, you know what, I'm gonna be greedy. I know I shouldn't be greedy, but Shard Mage's Rescue is what I was saying. What's Sky Shard? So it goes up to a 3-2. They can maybe get it up to a 3-3. I doubt that they're going to be able to get it up to a 4 power creature to be able to just avoid what we're doing. That is a lot of Origin of Spider-Man, and I'm actually in a little bit of a troublesome spot right now. So nowhere to run, needs to draw me a card, and it needs to be a good card, not a land. Not a land. Oh. Actual disaster confirmed. That you don't want to see that many lands off the top of the library. Have I drawn? Hang on a second. I'm pretty sure I started with Loki, Grim Bauble. I'm pretty sure I started with all of these cards in my opening hand. It might have been 4 lands and maybe I drew one of these, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Oh, wait, that's a double striking 4-3 with the Seam Rip. It's actually a disaster. Imagine we actually drew properly and we just didn't take 10 damage on this turn. More than 10 damage? It's a little bit more than 10 damage. Is it lethal damage? It's only 18. Pathetic. You're telling me I have a chance, opponent? I love auras, love and hate. This needs to be like the craziest thing. You know what? Nurturing Pixie is, as far as draws go, not the worst. Because what it does is I don't know, what do I can't, it doesn't matter what I do. If I grab the Momentum Breaker, they sack the 2-1. If I grab the Nowhere to Run, like it's the same difference, right? So this Nurturing Pixie is buying me literally 1 turn. This thing is going to get double strike. And as long as this isn't a Seam Rip or a Sheltered by Ghost, a Figure of Fable, pretty good for the future for the opponent, because they can, it doesn't matter. It legitimately doesn't matter. It's going to be a terrifying creature on the opponent's side of the field, and we have to chump block with our poor Nurturing Pixie. Okay, this is all I can do. What does the top of the library have to be? Another Nurturing Pixie actually buys me another turn. Kaido? No, You know what? Sometimes the top 20 cards in your library are a whole bunch of lands. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Really weird thing going on right now. I keep connecting to the games, but it says waiting for opponent, and it goes for like 45 seconds before it finally connects into the opponent. So I haven't seen something like that before. A little bit of a weird one. Okay, opening hand, we got our Loki after the Tiny Bones, and then we have an Aang to follow it all up. If we can hold the Loki on the field. Didn't really work out for us in the last game, but let's be fair. The opponent had so many creatures, we just couldn't go through them all. You know, sometimes that deck is gonna do that. Oh, I don't like the Sacred Foundry. This might actually end up being the Jeskai matchup. And if it's the Jeskai matchup, we are in some big old trouble. Obviously, a little bit of awesome synergy there between Tiny Bones and Loki. Getting a little bit of extra value. I need to protect Loki, so I probably need to have the Aang Swift Savior on the field. And that's where we're at in this one, I guess. Let's see what you got for turn 3. It's a Simulacrum Synthesizer. I did not expect that. You know what? Let's use Aang. Aang enters. He bounces the Simulacrum. Tiny Bones triggers because a legendary creature entered. Loki draws a card. That is what you want to see. It's just so perfect, isn't it? And then from here, I think we have a couple of choices. They're going to hit us with the Simulacrum Synthesizer next turn. So let's try drawing a card. We'll put the Spyglass Siren onto the field. We'll use the map token on Aang and find a Grimbauble. Find a Kaito. That is awfully good for follow-up next turn if we can get to that point. From here, I think I'm just going to put out the Courtyard and pass it to the opponent. We are a little bit shields down right now, which means if they have... They would need a lot, though, right now. Even if they had a Star Cage, it's only taking out the Loki and the Spyglass. We have the Kaido and the Swift Savior still on the field. And if they do Simulacrum, they cannot hit us with a 3 CMC thing this turn. So no snare, no scary things. This should be a pretty good attack here. Let's go bring back the Spyglass Siren to our hand. Boom, boom. We get to trigger... Man, triggering Loki this way is just so satisfying. And they are down to 2. They cannot shock anything in. We can... Maybe the Tiny Bones joins up can actually get us... maybe not a win. Okay, I'm going to put this in untapped with the Sun Pearl Kirin as backup to save maybe an Aang or to save the Loki. I don't know. And then also this will leave us with a 2-1 at end step. That's fine. We don't care about the 3-3. We don't... Okay. We got this one locked up. The Boomerang Basics. It's fine. You can see the lines, right? This 4-4 is not enough. We can do it any number of ways. Even the Spray to Net is not going to be good enough. Okay. Pass to our end step. And we're going to put out the Sun Pearl Kirin just because we are showing what this deck can do. This picks up the Tiny Bones, joins up. We draw another card with Loki and then go to town. When Loki is able to stick on turn number 2 and you have these pieces that come flying in and start triggering Loki, holy moly is it ever effective. And the combination of Tiny Bones joins up with legendary creatures, oh, it's just a little bit too good, right? This is game number 6. We're gonna aim minimum 7. We might get a few more in depending on how things go. Oh, yeah, you know what? Let's try this. Let's see if the Tiny Bones joins up. So, I started to mention this. I don't know how far I got into mentioning this, but obviously the deck has a little bit of a bad matchup against Jeskai Control because we have a lot of cards that are targeted at removing creatures. -2, -2, -3, -3. Make opponents sacrifice a creature with a Momentum Breaker. That's all bad news. But cards like Tiny Bones joins up and Momentum Breaker are pretty good at hitting the opponent that is sitting there on cards is what I'm saying, right? So we're not all in on only killing creatures. We do have the kind of backup plans of also going after the opponent's hands with these 2 cards. That's what I'm trying to say, just not in a good way. Okay, so they have the Annoying Boy, and we cannot really do anything about that, right? Because we have the Momentum Breaker. Okay, well, I guess what we're doing is just, no matter what, we're going to use Momentum Breaker. And we're probably going to use the Nurturing Pixie to return the Momentum Breaker to our hand. They're going to sacrifice the forest 100% of the time. This is going to draw us a card, though. No, it doesn't. It doesn't draw us a card. The Nurturing Pixie coming in is going to draw us a card. This is going to give them back their 2 mana. It does cut them off a little bit. I'm not attacking in with the Loki. Maybe I could have like bluffed and attacked with the Loki a little while ago. But I don't know how fast I have to go here. I'd rather keep the Loki on the field and not risk them throwing the Badger Mole Cub in front of it. I don't know how crazy the opponent might get. But in this case, we have... Well, we don't have a way of getting rid of both creatures. But eventually we do. Eventually we do. So we throw this out. That was bad. That was real bad. Dang, dang, dang. That's going to change things. I needed the Hollowed Fountain to not get auto-tapped there. So they have the Keen-Eyed Curator. Are they thinking about eating stuff with the Keen-Eyed Curator? Is that what we're doing here, opponent? So I have a choice. Spyglass Siren. You know what? Spyglass Siren it is. And we're going to take a little bit of damage. I'm going to leave the Keen-Eyed Curator on the field just for a turn. They don't have enough mana to give it... Wow. To give it this +7/+7. And we have the Boomerang Basic sitting here. We can also bounce the Momentum Breaker maybe next turn to remove it. No, that's not going to happen. We got a couple of options, though, again. The Momentum Breaker is helping, but it's not really doing the work that we need it to do. Okay. Sure, let's take 3. They're saying we got a race on our hands. So, 5 mana available to us. We can... Some Pearl Kieran. Get the Momentum Breaker back. We draw a card. It is a Nurturing Pixie, which we can't really cast out. Maybe I needed to put the Concealed Courtyard onto the field. And then from here, I suppose it's just keeping the opponent off kilter, making them sacrifice their forest. I guess if they have another Badger Mole Cub, they could have 4 extra mana after casting the Badger Mole Cub next turn if they play their mana properly, and I don't really like that. So we're going to go in for that much damage, and the real question is going to be, do I want to put out the Boomerang Basic to bounce the Keen-Eyed Curator? And I think it's a no. Next turn, potentially up to 6 mana. Okay. Suddenly, new problem. I think I needed to put out the Concealed Courtyard last turn. I think that might actually end up being a bit of a problem for me going forward. I really need that white mana. And if I think I put out this land last time, correct? Yeah. We're going to do what we can. They're going to hit us. No hitting? Oh, it's so good that they didn't hit us there. Oh my goodness, it's so nice. Okay. New plan. Things have changed. Let's get in with all of these. No blocks. Kaito? I think. Yeah, you got to go in with the Kaito when you have the opportunity to go in with Kaito. And we're probably going to use Kaito to tap down one of these creatures. We could still be in a little bit of trouble here if... You know what I might end up doing is just bouncing both of these creatures. I'm a little bit afraid of them just having the ability to smoke us. Okay, so they're down to 4. Let's try to bounce the Ice Till Explorer. It costs 4, so them replaying that card is going to be pretty expensive. And then we'll put 2 stun counters on the Keen-Eyed Curator. They had no way to protect it. Sure. Spyglass Siren to follow it all up. And they have a lot of work that they need to do. Still, I'm not super safe. As crazy as it maybe sounds. There's some world where they could have like a Badger Mole Cub to get a forest going where it will have haste. With this Earthbender Ascension, they're going to put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on it. And then if they have, what you call it, Harmonizer, they could give it double, you know, it'll have trample. They double it up, double it up. That could be enough to wipe us out. But I mean, they would have to have a pretty insane group of cards in their hand and play it all out very carefully. Okay, Ice Till Explorer is not going to be good enough. They still play 2 lands here, so they are technically still on 4 mana, and they have the Earthbender Ascension, which is putting +1/+1 counters on things. But I still don't really see them being able to do 7 points of damage here, or 11 points of damage. Okay. And they have 4 life. We have Kaito coming in. Kaito can... No, I guess it can't really tap down something. But what we can do is 2, 4, 6. If we get 1 more untapped land, what we can do is we can bounce the Momentum Breaker with the Pixie, replay it, bounce it again with a Sun Pearl Kirin, replay it, sacrifice both creatures. Of course, the first time they're going to sacrifice the Keen-Eye Curator, and then this one. I'm just kind of thinking, like, long term, what are all the like little angles that we probably need? We just have lethal in air, but the opponent's deciding to go through the motions, and it's kind of scaring me a little bit. What are they going to do with their... Oh, see, had they put that out a little bit earlier... See, this is pretty close to like the disaster that I was talking about, because this is still a 3/3 hasty boy. And if they had, yeah, if they had just a little bit more mana and they had a harmonizer, we could have been in big trouble. But we end up going 2 games in a row. Finally, we went win loss, and then finally win win. We got one more, I think. All right, so only 7 games in this set of matches, but you know what? The deck is playing super well. I think you're seeing the idea behind it, and you know what? For our last game, we get to see when we get a bad opening hand. This looks okay, though. Probably the Tiny Bones joins up is going to be the least impactful overall. Now, I'm going to really regret that if the opponent is on Jeskai control. They're not, thank goodness. And we get a turn 1 Grim Bauble. We get to then bounce that back eventually with the Sunpearl Kirin. And maybe take out a Badger Mole Cub in the future, or maybe another Mana Dork. We'll see. If we can get a cheeky... Ooh, hello, Llanowar Elves. The boys are out partying tonight. Okay, I think if they attack in with the Llanowar Elves, I'm definitely going to be putting the Sunpearl Kirin in front of one of those. But, okay, definitely putting it in front. We're so cooked here. Okay, this is not good. I do get a trade here, which is nice. But what do I do against the Ouroboride? So I have to bounce it with the Aang, right? Before it triggers? How does Ouroboride work? At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the power. So when this triggers, if I bounce the Ouroboride, does it already consider putting the X as 2? I don't know how it works. I actually don't know how it works. So we have to stop them when they go to stop before combat, stop before combat. Because this is at the beginning of combat. Oh man, this is so bad. So they're just going to be able to replay it out. They're analyzing what could we possibly have. This is a real test for the... Oh, Inspiring Vantage. I didn't really know. All right. All right. I guess that's what we're doing. So we're going to Aang away the 2/4. If you know how this works with the bouncing, like let's say this trigger goes on the stack right now. If I bounce this right now, what happens? What happens? This is pathetic, but this is absolutely what has to happen right now, and it's not even good. It's not good. We have to do so much work to stop this Ouroboride, and we still have a second Ouroboride that's about to hit the field, and there's really nothing I can do about all of these creatures going up to 4/4s and 3/3s. And a second Badger Mole Cub. It puts so much power on the field. All right. You know what? I think in this case, we're just never winning this one. You know what? I'll let them swing. GG, opponent. They had a pretty good set of cards against us. And we'll see what the top card of our library is. But I don't think that I don't think our deck's going to beat an Ouroboride unless we are holding up specifically nowhere to run. And we're... at that moment, we can hit it when it's still a 1/3. That one hurt. There's no way I'm ending on being crushed by an Ouroboride. No way. Not going to let it happen. We're playing one more. Opening hand looks absolutely fantastic. Let's be kind to our opponent. Get some good favor going. It's always nice. Wave to the opponent. Hello to you. How do you all feel about saying an early good game right at the start of the game match? Just be like, hey, good game. It's not one of those, like, good game, I gotcha, early good games. Just because, like, when I used to play Paper Magic, that was so common. You just sit down at the table and you shake the opponent's hand. You say, you know, good game. Good luck. Usually good luck, have fun, good game. That's what I feel like that's what we used to say. Okay, Lumbering World Wagon means that they're up to 4 mana, which means maybe I need to start thinking about holding up this Nowhere to Run. Oh man, Kaido's good. But okay, I think I'm attacking in for 3 no matter what here. And then maybe putting out the Hollowed Fountain untapped with the Spyglass Siren, and then just holding the Nowhere to Run as insurance for the future. Pass it over to the opponent. Lumbering World Wagon going to be a little bit of a problem if it comes slamming in on me, but maybe we take a little bit of damage, it's fine, and then we play towards this Kaido on the following turn. Although we don't have 5 mana, we have 4 mana on the next turn. That's a lot of mana from the opponent. So I could react now and kill the Badger Mole Cub. That means that they cannot actually crew the Lumbering World Wagon. And they're only going to have access to 3 mana right now, not 4 mana. But what it could also mean is that they were looking to get an Ouroboride on the field and I didn't save my Nowhere to Run for the Ouroboride. I don't know. I don't know. But good news is next turn we probably get to get a Kaido on the field. And we get to maybe tap down one of these creatures. Okay, might form Harmonizer from the opponent. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, they really wanted to get in for 8 damage, which is, yeah, that sucks. You know what? Do I put the Spyglass Siren in front of? I don't want to. It's more than that, right? Because the land pumps it up. I don't want to take that much damage. It's just a little bit too much. Actually, this card is a big old problem for me, right? So we can put Kaido out as just a 4 for 4 mana, but that doesn't. And then I tap something with that. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's do that. I think I'm gonna leave my Otter open as a creature. As a creature that can jump in front of the Lumbering World Wagon to protect my Kaido, because I would rather have my Kaido. And now with this Sunpearl Kirin, that's a pretty awesome draw, actually. Maybe we can get back this Nowhere to Run and snipe something. But they do have the Mightform Harmonizer sitting there, which they can then put onto the field, grab the Lumbering World Wagon, pump it up, but they don't have Trample yet. Yet. It might be coming. Okay. Opponent took a little bit of time to figure out what they wanted to do there. Bossing Say to the field. They have only 1 mountain. They use a Nature's Rhythm or an Ouroboride. Okay. That's bad news. But it's not the worst. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Okay. Let's crash in. Please block. Please block. Please block. Thank goodness. Oh, I have nothing. Please block. Opponent. Confirm. Oh, do I? No. No. Oh, man. They saw through my trap. Okay, okay. It's fine. It's fine. Let's... The thing is, we could still die very easily. I don't really want to put these lands in and just get nuked. So what I want to do is Sunpearl Kirin the Nowhere to Run onto the Ouroboride so that their pump is a little bit lower. So I guess, but do I want to draw a card with? Okay. Let's use Kaido first. Let's use Kaido first. Draw a card. Let's see what we draw. Angswift Savior, good for the future. Good for the future. Good now. Is this worth putting onto the field? And I think it is a resounding yes. It might change the plan a little bit. It gives me access to Aang plus the Sunpearl Kirin. Let's see, let's see, let's see. I don't imagine they're going to have... This is the moment, right? They're going to load something up and the Aang can bounce something. Do I allow them? They don't have protection. They don't have protection. That's what I'm banking on. They do not have like Snakeskin Veil or something to make sure whatever huge thing that they're building up is protected. That's all I'm banking on. Crew 4, sure. That's fine. Second Lumbering World Wagon hitting the field. That's also fine. So what are they attacking? Are they going to attack with the Ouroboride and... I think they are. They're bringing the pump. They're bringing the heat. But they're tapped out, right? They're tapped out. They got 216. Mama. Okay, flash it in. Let's bounce the Ouroboride. Aang, Swift Savior. The hero that we all deserve. And the Sun Pearl Kirin coming in. You know what? Let's just bounce this back. It's fine. It doesn't matter what we do here. As long as it doesn't have trample. This deck without trample, it ain't nothing. 34 damage absorbed into my into my wonderful Sunpearl Kirin, and that opponent is out of here. They know what's going on. That's a much better win. We got our revenge against the Ouroboride. Take that, Ouroboride. Let's go. All right, so Esper self-bounce, I don't know what to say about this one other than I just had a blast playing those last 8 games. Even the games where we were losing, I was having a whole lot of fun playing this one. And I think that is thanks in part to the amount of choices that you are presented with when you play a deck like this. The cards that you keep, so important. Your scries are important, your surveils are important, your bouncing back to hand, what are you going to bring back to your hand is super important. When are you going to use your boomerang basics on your stuff versus on your opponent's stuff? So many micro decisions to be made while you're playing this deck, and I think that's what really separates somebody that can play this deck very well versus somebody who is struggling with the deck. And to say I struggled with it, I guess a little bit, yes. On the draw, 43% overall. We had a 67% overall win rate though, 12-6, but yeah, definitely on the draw was not so good. On the play, definitely carrying us a little bit there. But I think with time, with experience, you would probably end up having a much better time playing a deck like this. Also, like I said at the start somewhere, this is a deck that is from best of 3. I just don't have the sideboard in right now. This type of deck would benefit so much more from playing best of 3. And the reason for that is because your cards are so specialized at dealing with the opponent's plan. And if you, in best of 1, don't know what your opponent is playing, how can you possibly know what cards to keep in your opening hand, right? Sometimes your Nowhere to Run is going to be an absolute all-star. Some games, this is just such a dead card. So I think overall, if you are looking to be serious about the Esper bounce deck and you really wanted to sink your teeth into this deck, like the person who posted this in the Discord, maybe you want to start looking at playing this one in best of 3. Having the sideboard, being able to swap out those dead cards in some matchups is going to be absolutely huge. And then in games 2 and games 3, you being able to know what kind of opening hands to keep is such a massive advantage for a deck like this. So this one is a fun one. It is possible to play it in best of 1, but I really think it is a best of 3 type deck, which is probably why you just don't see anybody playing it on the best of 1 ladder right now. Still, I think it turned out as a pretty fun one for this video. I hope you enjoyed the games. I was having a blast, so I'm sure that comes through in the footage. Let me know what you think about this deck. Let me know what you think about this in best of 1 versus best of 3. Would you take this onto the best of 3 ladder? And all that good stuff. So, take care for now. Sayang ipana, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, as usual, right? Bye-bye.